Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Rambling Toffee podcast. I hope everybody's doing great this Monday. I'm looking forward to hopefully a good week for everybody. Today's episode is all about let's be as positive as possible. I think let's talk about the football on Saturday. Such a wonderful weekend in the sense of the sun shining. It was warm. It was fantastic. It just felt really positive feeling going to the game on Saturday to play against Sheffield United. Um, kind of everybody expected kind of will get a result against them on Saturday. So I'll get into that game in a moment and my outlook on the positive result that it was, what it means going forward for this season. Can we go in the game against Arsenal on Sunday? Can we actually get a result against them? Highly well. That's a negative because some they're going for the title, so it'll be interesting to see. They'll want to win that game, so it's going to be a tough game down at Arsenal. But that's for next Sunday. That's for the last game of the season. So I'm not thinking about that at this moment in time. But yes, this weekend, absolutely, sun was shining. It was positive feel about it. It was Sheffield United who obviously have been relegated already. So and then they've been a very poor team this season, shipping I think over 100 goals now. So kind of an expectation there that we'll probably get a result, get the 3 points that we need to actually, stay in 15th. Hopefully, we can continue to stay there. But Brentford are not far behind, so we can still take the 15th spot at the end of the season. And also, it all good about the prize money and also some extra few £1 million. So that that will be absolutely fantastic for the situation that the club's currently in financially. So I'll get more into that in a moment. But yes, it was a positive. It was a weird game, not just a weird game, a weird feeling I had because I've not been used to it. I probably you guys are probably the same. I wasn't used to it. I just sat there and thinking, there's no stress, no thinking, oh God, we need to win this game. We've got see how Luton did or how this team did or how did we need to get this result. We need to to stay, not get relegated, not be pulled in or any kind of issues that we've had over the last 2 3 seasons. It was absolutely for me sitting there not moaning, which was the first thing because me and a few people around me, um, you know, we spend most of the time moaning about certain players, how they're performing, why they're doing this, why they're playing like that. And it was for the first half an hour or so like that. It was just like just chatting about what you're doing in the summer, or what chatting about being in this position where stress free, no anxiety, nothing to get ourselves get into and get right into it. But what was great was the atmosphere was there because the stress was the pressure was off. There was nothing to play for in the sense of we're only for to get you places in the Premier League so you can get the prize money for where your position is. It was just a nice atmosphere, everybody really chatting, enjoying the sunshine, enjoying watching the game, and actually seeing Everton play in some periods throughout that game, playing some nice football. It seems like you can tell the players with the pressure was off them as well, that they can go out there and just do their thing and and enjoy the game. And actually, the first goal was an absolutely fantastic goal. Some good forward play. An honour to McNeil, and McNeil got that ball through to Dominic Calvert-Lewin, who got past the goalkeeper and a wonderful little dink cross in, and Decore scoring. Um, it was a great goal, and you kind of thought we could have scored more. We did have opportunities, obviously, as the game went on, but Sheffield United, they had a little threat here or there, but in my own mind, the game we had full control of the game throughout it, and I just thought, we could have. There were moments when I thought it was like we could have moved into second gear, which is weird me saying that because have we ever had a second gear? We've always seemed to be playing a certain way, obviously, and the stresses and the pressures that we've had throughout the season on the points deductions and added on to everything like that, and the way we've performed. it's been a stretch and it's been very, very difficult to keep getting behind the team, keep on supporting the team. And, but it was just nice to see that. But that's just, I wish we'd seen that more often throughout the season. But as I mentioned, we couldn't do that. And I think Sean Dyche was set up in a way, to get results really, and set up, to get the points as best way they possibly can with everything that's ongoing off the field, with the points deduction as well. Everything added onto top of that, which has obviously been not just a massive pressure on us as fans, but also obviously the players, the manager, the coaches, the staff at the club, and everybody associated with Everton. It's been tough to you know to get through it week in week out with the way we played and the performances and how it it's difficult, and it's just shown from all of us, and probably me personally. I've mentioned about my views about Sean Dyche and the coaching setup, and Kevin Felwell as well. And my views about them is that are they right for this club going forward? But with everything going off the field at the moment, and also of course with the points deductions and everything that they have thrown at them, I'm going to throw a little bit of positivity towards them, and and commend what they've done, especially over the last few games that has kept us in the Premier League and kept us being in the position that we are on the field. And I will commend Sean Dyche on that, and commend the coaching staff and the players and everybody that there was a massive unifying nature, not just from the fans, what we did as fans with the flags, what the 1878s did, getting the flags and the banners and everything, getting the atmosphere with that sort of thing, and getting right behind the team and the team feeding off that, which is what we needed. And it seems we everybody was together and unified in that sense, and I think that is going to help us going forward. But the problem with me saying going forward is everything is still up in the air. And as much as what we see at the moment with the team that it was currently played over the last few weeks and the performances that we've had, and me, I will say commending Sean Dyche and his team for the setup and the formation and getting the players to play away. Him actually changing what he had to do, to get the best out of the players. Obviously, things weren't working for a long period of time. In that period between when we only won one game in 16, when that was going on, and that game against Chelsea when we lost 6-0, I am honest enough to say at that point in time that he was not the right manager. He needed to leave. And he mentioned, I think, in an interview that there was a minority of fans who felt that way. I know Martin out there who's probably listening to this. He, says to me he's one dimensional. He's a one dimensional manager. He is, but he had to change something, change tact, which got the players on board, and obviously got the fans on board as well to take us through to be in the position that we are in, that we're in the Premier League for another season, our last season at Goodison Park. And for me, I will give the plaudits and I'll give the positives from one point of view, but the future is very, very different. And at this moment in time, with everything, which I'll get onto in a minute about the off the field issues with the takeover and everything else regarding that, is that does he continue to stay in that role into next season? At this moment in time, with the situation that we're in, with not having any money, nothing able to actually make any kind of change if we ever did, I feel that he has to stay on longer, probably into next season, because that's just the way it is at the football club. And then and if he can develop and develop a squad and get better, and we improve and we go in the right pathway, then we can look at him differently and we can say, well, does he have a long term future at the club? That'll be for next season. But at this moment in time, we have a situation where I'll get onto the takeover in a moment, but a situation where the players that we currently have that played well over the last few games and it and improved immensely since before. The amount of games that we were losing and drawing games and not doing really well, performing poorly. They've got something going, but what I'm seeing is we're going to be in a situation in the summer where are we going to sell Branthwaite? Do I have to sell Nana? Pickford, is he going to get thrown in? Will he? Won't he? Dominic Calvert-Lewin has got a year left on his contract. We've got players out of contract. We've got, you know, we've got young players obviously coming through, but we've got so many things going on that sense that it feels we've got a very small squad as it is. And if you look at the players like also have Jack Harrison and Danjuma will definitely, he will not be coming back. But Harrison has been okay to an extent, and obviously Sean Dyche would like to keep him, but do we have the money to pay him to come to the club on a permanent basis? That's something that's up in the air at the moment. And you've got Seamus Coleman. Okay, obviously he has been offered a 1 year extension to his contract, so he's thinking about that. So hopefully he'll stay on for another season. You've got Ashley Young, who's out of contract because he's only signed for 1 season. Performances throughout the season indicate to me, in my feeling, that I don't think he deserves another year contract. I know he's played well in certain games, he's done well in certain games, but is he the right player to get an extension? At this moment in time, do we need to look elsewhere? Obviously Patterson is injured at the moment. Do we look at making sure that Patterson is the main choice at right back? Obviously Mikalenko will be back from his injury and he's available. So there's a lot of questions that Kevin Felwell and Sean Dyche need to ask and answer. What's going to happen next? But as I mentioned, being positive about the results that we've had, to be safe and be in the Premier League next season and really good stuff, and also but that's going to be where do we go next and what's going to happen next? What do you guys think is going to happen? But what do you think is going to happen further down the line? But it's going to be a very, very interesting summer. As I mentioned, in a negative, I'm trying to be as positive as possible. So if that team was to stay together for next season, and we've can add players, if we were able to add players to it to strengthen the team, and obviously my feelings about Ashley Young is up and down with him. I don't think he will be at the club next season, but you just never know. But if we're able to, if in a real world and in a positive real world, and we're able to actually bring, strengthen the team a little bit more, then we can push on. The funny story about this season is that without the points deduction, we would have been 11th, and that just shows you you can probably say that shows you the progression under Sean Dyche, and we could have even been more if we didn't have the point deductions thrown at us, and it might have been a different story. We might have been a little bit more confident in that period of time where we've lost 1-1 in 16 games. That we might have picked up more results because there was no kind of pressure coming from any of these point deductions, and are we going to get more points deduction from an appeal, or are we going to get less, or everything that was ongoing regarding that? It could have been a different story. So if you want to take out the points deduction, we would have been 11th. And if you think, and then you can look at the bigger picture and say, oh, that's progression. That is that this team's obviously Sean Dyche is doing something good, and we can move forward with this, and we'll give him another year, another season to see if he can progress further in a normal situation. In a normal situation where the ownership is sorted out, that everything is stabilized, that we don't have any more breaches going to take place, no more all the situations that have been going on, this season. If we didn't have them in our way and everything was stable at the top end, and we knew that we're going to move into the stadium, that we've got, everything, and we've got a transfer kit, and we've got money to actually be able to strengthen, and also the likes of Jared Bradford doesn't need to go, doesn't need to leave the club if that happens, or Anana may decide to stay and may improve and get better. You don't know. You can never. Jordan Pickford, it gets mentioned that he may have to go because of the situation that we're in. But if in a real world, in a world where we have no kind of problems like that, we would have been looking forward to next season, maybe getting into Europe and you know, going in a really positive direction towards the new stadium, and maybe we could have been in a new stadium getting ready to play European football again. But that is the if buts and maybes. If our world was normal and we didn't have an ownership issue and we didn't have takeover and we didn't have PSRs and we didn't have all this shite thrown at us, we might be in a different story. So that's what my thinking is, and it's weird what looking at it, but it also just shows you that the teams that came up from the championship, it just shows you how poor they are. And we if we didn't have the point deduction, we wouldn't even be thinking about that position being a relegation scrap and all that sort of stuff. So in that sense, but they've been very poor, and the league's very poor anyway. That's my personal view. That I just feel that the league's poor, and it just seems to be as usual. It looks likely again. Manchester City are probably going to win the league again, but you never know. It depends on how they are when they play Tottenham tomorrow night. But that just but the rest going further down. I mean, Villa's done really really well, but if you look further down, a lot of teams are not doing very very well at all, and you can see that what's happened in Europe. The Champions League teams. Man City is an example as well. They got knocked out obviously, and Arsenal as well, and then you're up with the conference with Aston Villa and so forth. They'll be knocked out, not even getting to a final at all. So it just shows you the Premier League is weak and poor in its sense. But you know, but for us, if we didn't have those deductions, finishing 11th would have been absolutely amazing, considering where we've come from. So we'd be looking at things differently. We'll look at the manager differently. But over a week to week basis, and watching the team play week to week basis, a lot of the 99 times out of 100, we've been very poor. The games we just set up defensively and set up in a way just to get results. And a lot of times they've not worked for us, and the performances have been poor. We give the ball away all the time, and you get frustrated by it when you watch them. When you watch them at home, you get the ball, and they're giving the ball away, and it doesn't feel when you're thinking they should be more comfortable on the ball. They should be the footballers, and they're doing tactics that you think why launching the ball to Dominic Calvert-Lewin when he's been fit, or Beto who is not suited to that kind of setup and formation. Committee, who's been absolutely fantastic lately and is actually showing signs of going to be a really good striker for us next season, which is a blessing in disguise, which is going to be great for if we ever for next season, that if Dominic Calvert-Lewin is still with us, still at the club, that he can take on from him. Beto can hopefully improve more. I don't know, because Beto's been a bit of a failure in some senses. He has scored some goals. He does work hard, but it doesn't work. It doesn't work well in that formation. He's better, I would guess, next to another striker. That's my personal view. So yes, so the positives coming into in a sense, the positives will only happen as soon as the ownership issue is solved, and that the club has some sort of capital money to enable Kevin Farewell and Sean Dyche to bring in players to try and strengthen the squad, try to do something, but it's going to be jiggery pokery. And if you read Kevin Farewell's piece in the program, we will have to sell looking likely our best players. He may not say best players, but it's looking like we'll have to sell. And it's looking likely, if you're looking at your assets, Jared Branthwaite is one of them. I would love him to stay, but it just feels that's it, unless nobody can pay up, for him to come, to go to another club. Anana's another one. Anana's been hit and miss all season, so will we miss him if he was to leave and we get a good fee for him? Not really. The big thing is, I will say that one player who's been absolutely fantastic over the last few weeks is Idrissa Gana Gueye. There is an option for him for another year. I hope they take up on the option because he's been fantastic. When he came back in, I think it was after the Chelsea game, came back in against Forest, and it was just a different. He just seemed to calm everybody down in that midfield, and we was able to start doing the job. And he was putting out fires. He was doing what he's been very, very good at, and also he was scoring goals as well, which is another part of his game he doesn't really show that often. But he was fantastic. So he's another player that we need to hopefully tie down for another season to get us through. Hopefully, in time that when that ownership situation is settled. So yeah, some positives going forward that hopefully with 777 no longer involved, no longer part of it, wanted to take over. Um, Hopefully, we'll have some better owners coming in with better ideas, with investment, with funds to enable the club to finally start to move forward the way it is. And my take on what happened last week was, for a long period of time on this podcast, week in, week out, I've always said about 777 partners, they are not right for Everton Football Club. And I just hope there was somebody else in the background who would be interested. But it seems to be what we're finding out that they had an exclusivity deal with Farhad Mashiri from the time that when it was announced that the intention was to take his shares, and it was agreed upon in September. But it seemed to be that's the case. So obviously, other people out there who may have been interested over that period of time just sat in the background and they couldn't come forward. They couldn't made themselves known because there was no point. They had to wait to see if what would happen with this with 777 partners. And as we've all seen over a long period of time, we've seen the issues that they've had at other clubs, the 16 legal cases that they got ongoing at the moment. They got fraud related issues going against them. They can't pay certain clubs like Standard Liège. There's all sorts of problems with them, and now they've been banned from footballing operations, while whoever's been appointed to deal with their finances and understand, to help, to get them in a position, whatever it may be. It looks like they're going to go bankrupt at this rate because the way they're going, they're losing money. But what really baffled me about the whole of last week was that obviously Alan Myers was the first to put out there regarding 777, and because of all the issues that was going on over the weekend and Standard Liège then coming into it because they're not players not being paid and so forth, we said that it's looking likely that Mashiri is going to, say bye bye and look at other alternative investors. So that that was going, but what was baffling me was they still put some money in, and I was getting a bit baffled and was thinking, why is it that it's looking likely that they're no longer going to be taking over the football club, but they're still putting another £8 million in after that was mentioned? And I went back to the Bobble, who, if you hear him on the Bullens View podcasts, and I'll mention something that what he said on the media roundup, which was last Monday. I think it was last Monday or Tuesday. I think it was last Tuesday. And basically, he, I went back to him and said, "Did you jump the gun?" And he came back to me and said, "No, no, I didn't jump the gun. It's what happened." And then he put out something they put something out on Patreon page, the news that basically it's it was all part of an agreement that had been signed between Mashiri and 777 Partners to pay that last amount of money. But what again it baffled me is the fact is that they're not paying standard liège players and staff at one club. They've got issues with other clubs. They've got issues with paying and funding and missing payments and all sorts of things. But they could still find £8 million to pay Everton Football Club. The remaining, so roughly it's around 210 million has been paid to Everton to keep the lights on. And some people have said that, oh, we should thank them in some ways because at least they've been putting money in. I'm not thanking them because basically that money is coming from another loan company who's loaned him and they basically loaned us. It's just like a loan. It's like an everyday loan like all the other loans that we have at the club. It's just basically they put loan in which they can put in. Somebody was obviously giving them that money and now it's sitting there. It's a junior debt. And we'll have to pay them back at some point. But the way they're going at the moment, if they go to get bankrupt, you're going to get administrators going to be trying to get money off us to pay back the debts that they have. So in that sense, so that's just baffled me that for a moment. But got clarification. That's what's happened. But also it is linked to the fact that it was an exclusivity. So where are we at? So one of the things that they've now gone. Obviously, my mind went to what the Bobble said on the Tuesday of last week when he said that Andy Bell, who has invested money like George Downing, has invested money with MSP into the stadium, and it seems to be that he referred to Andy Bell in this occasion that it's a full-time job working at Everton to actually get things sorted, to get things in place that this we can be in a positive position going forward. And that was on Tuesday. So that was my first inkling that maybe would MSP come in? Are they interested in taking over Mashiri shares, taking over the club with Andy Bell and George Downing included? Is that what's actually happening ongoing at the moment? We'll find out maybe this week. And what was great was the positive tweet that came up from Paul Liesk yesterday and also from Alan Myers. Was it yesterday? Yes, and Alan Myers. And they both were saying that got good Evertonians working night and day with everybody else to get some positive movement going forward. And we might find out more this week or in the next couple of weeks that our football, we'll get an announcement and get something coming forward, what the plan is going forward. And is it with MSP? The feeling is that if George Downing and Andy Bell are basically working night and day or putting the effort in to get something working and get something going, that may indicate that. Maybe are they part of a consortium? Maybe MSP are coming in short term and basically other investors are going to come in as well. I don't know. There is another group out there, I believe, another US group that are interested. Don't know who they are. So it's going to be an interesting period, but it needs to happen quite quickly. And obviously, that's what they're working hard and trying to get something in place that this club can go forward and into the summer and give Sean Dyche and Kevin Felwell and the tools to actually bring the players in, to make decisions on players that we may have to sell and so on and so forth and everything, contracts and all that sort of situation. And pre-season friendlies, because we haven't got even announced that. There's not even a new kit that's not been announced yet. So and I believe it's through Castor are taking over our kit manufacturers. Our final season, and we want to see, when will they be available? Will that be June, July? Will it be have to wait until about a month before the season starts before you can buy a shirt? While all our competitors are putting new shirts out now and, just before the end of the season, all things are up in the air and it'd just be nice to find out in the next few days, in the next couple of weeks or so, what is actually going on, what is the plan going forward. And it's to be positive because if we can get the people in And everybody talks about MSP, are they right people, wrong people? I think they're the right people. I think they come across as right people. I think that, you could say that why didn't they take up that, the 51% stake? They could probably still do. I don't know. We'll see. We'll just see what happens next if they want to. Some people, obviously, journalists that have said that they don't want to take on a club. They don't want to do that, but they might do. They might change their mind. There might be something in there. But think of the positive if they come in and we get the right people in place, because it's the last season at Goodison. If we stay in the Premier League, if we can get the money in and get the funding and get the capital and everything, get us moving forward, we can move into a brand new stadium where then the PSR that we've had issues with will be non-existent, because that's been the issue, the stadium, and where why we've been breaching and why we've been getting the deductions because of the stadium costs and everything else regarding that. We'll be in that stadium. It'll be a completed stadium. We're fully paid for. Don't need to do anything else. And basically, we have a stadium now which has a value of probably about £1 billion, which is there. We move in, got more fans going into the stadium as well. That means more people for corporate as well, and with all the money that will come from that. Naming rights will probably come in for the stadium as well at some point. We'll find out that as well. And if we get the new people coming in soon as possible, get the new board in place, get the new people in with forward thinking ideas, positive ideas to take this club forward. Because as Alan Myers put in a tweet, which is absolutely fantastic how he put this, basically we have a stadium which is a value of £1 billion. We have a fan base which is worldwide. Our history, well, second to none. We've got everything going for itself. We just got this little period, a little moment where we're stuck, and we just need to get it right. And if Mashiri's listening to this, if Andy Bell, George Downing, or MSP, or anybody ever listens to this podcast, probably won't, but if they were to listen, please sort it out as quickly as possible. Get everything right. Talk to us. Communicate with us, the fan base. Talk to us. Explain to us what you want to do. What is your plan going forward? Change the mentality of the club. What it means, Neil Sattis needs to opt to nothing but their best is good enough. And when you've got two people, Andy Bell and George Downing, who are working night and day, they were in the director's box against Sheffield United the other day, on Saturday, who are Evertonians, they care about it. They probably know, they can remember when we were successful, when we won titles, when we were always at Wembley playing in Europe, when we were great and when we were good. And our history dictates that. We've had some great players, we've had some great teams, we've won 9 league titles, we've won the FA Cup 5 times. Our history dictates and indicates that that is what Everton Football Club is. That's its DNA. And when Kevin Felwell says on a program note, says it's in our DNA. Our DNA is to be at the top end of the table, challenging at the top, challenging for trophies, and having the best players and doing the best things. That is where we need to be. We've got a stadium which is 14 months away, or wherever when we move into there. That's there. We need a team, a club, everybody pointing in the right direction, everybody with that mentality that we are winners, not losers. We are not here just to make up numbers. That's not what we are. And we've got to think that. I don't care what other fans of other clubs think. The Sly Six, I don't care what they think. They think there's only 3 teams, I would guess, at the top who I would say are big in its history. And that's Liverpool. And it's very, very hard for me to say that. Liverpool, Arsenal, and Manchester United. And you look at Manchester United at the moment, they're struggling. And look at what happened yesterday. Roof leaking with the flash storm that happened all over the place. Bloody stadiums falling apart. So, even with that. But their history is they've always been at the top end of the table, top end of the. It's like Aston Villa, who are doing really well this season, and They have been at the top end. They know what success, their fans know what success is. They want that success. I want that success for Everton Football Club. And I know everybody out there who listens to this podcast, you all want that as well. And I think we on the pitch, we saw over the last few a unified front from the players, the management, the fans, everybody all together. It needs to be unified at the top end and everybody working together, which we, from the tweets yesterday, are indicating that that's what they're doing. They're getting together, working hard, try and find a solution and a way forward. And if we can get that a way forward and get the right investment in, get the right people in, get the right people running this football club, we will go wherever we want to do. Oh, the world's our oyster, and we need to get there. But we're here. We're currently May of 2024. We need to get things right in the summer. We need to do the right things. I don't want to struggle next season with every game thinking, are we going to stay up? Are we going to do this? Are we going to do why? And then the points deduction thrown in again, or this and that. I don't want to go through that again. But it might be a very, very difficult season. I hope we can get something sorted now because it's been going on far too long. And the current owner of this football club has dragged it on for far too long. And it's now time that now is the essence. Because if it drags on and on and on and on, you know, I want bare thinking what next season's going to be like. So please, if you're listening, come on, let's get things sorted. Anyway, that's my thoughts, that's my opinion. So anyway, again, I want to thank everybody, for your opinions, your views, and your support through this podcast. I started this in June last year because even in June last year, we're getting close to it this year. It's my year anniversary. And at that time, I did this just to vent my feelings and vent my opinions and get everything off my chest because that's how best way I could do it. And in June last year, I asked a question. Communication was one of them. And when I did it, not just about getting communication from the club, it was basically say I do not want to go through a relegation fight again. I want something changing this summer. That was last summer, and nothing's changed. And we just go on. And I feel more importantly now than ever that we need to do it now. We need to get this sorted now. Clarity needs to be there. Communication needs to be there. We need to be informed, not just as fans, as season ticket holders, members, fans all over the world, shareholders. We all need to know what is the plan going forward, so we can be reassured in our own mind that this is what Everton Football Club are going to do going forward, not just on the field but off it, and that will be helpful to me. I just want to put some shout outs before I finish today's podcast. I want to shout out to the Fab, who've been absolutely fabulous. They, constantly, when we've had the issues, they've been putting statements out. Obviously, shareholders as well, challenging Mashiri and the ownership to talk to us, to you know, to get things out there, get to listen to our views and listen to our opinions. But obviously the owner's not really come back to us. Hopefully we might hear from him through the Fab at some point soon. But they've been fantastic. They put the statements out when it's regarding PSRs or it's regarding the ownership and the takeover and everything else that they've done. And the volunteers, and they put their effort and energy in. So I want to put myself out to you guys. Thank you very much. That's great support. The 1878s as well for the banners and the flags, everything that's been ongoing throughout the season from them. They're volunteers as well, and they deserve what they got on. If you saw the Everton access tunnel access, they were enjoying themselves. I think they had a few too many drinks, obviously, but they really deserve everything they got on that day, on Saturday. They got to rest and they got to enjoy the game. They didn't have to think about flags and banners for one day, and they deserve a massive amount of respect from my point of view and from hopefully for everybody. And we move forward. So yeah. So on that note, thank you very much again for listening. I'll be back next Monday with obviously the Arsenal game taking place on Sunday and the last game of the season, my views and my ramblings regarding that game, and also hopefully might hear some more regarding the takeover and everything regarding that as this week goes on. And then it'd be more a reflection again on the season just gone and where we go in the future. But for now, everybody have a great day, great week. And I'll speak to you all again next Monday. And just to wish everybody a great day. This is the Rambling Toffee signing out. Take care, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.